Hey guys, it's Madison, and this week I'm going to be participating in a language learning challenge that is centered around the idea of using a random number generator to determine how or what you study in your different languages. This challenge is being hosted by Joe Renee Languages once again. It is not my idea, but I think it's a really interesting idea, and so I thought I'd make this quick little video going through kind of my rough plan for different activities that I could do centered around random number generation for this week. The idea is that I'm going to be covering specifically are ones that I designed for my own language learning based on what I like to do and how I like to do things, but you can also very easily adapt them to fit your specific language learning goals and activities that you like to do. So even though this challenge is a random number generator challenge, so that doesn't limit it to just a 6-sided dice, I made all of my ideas centered around a 6-sided dice just to keep things nice and simple for me. You could alter and adapt things again to fit your needs, but my activities that I'm going to be going over today are all centered around rolling a 6-sided dice, either physically or virtually. I don't have a physical dice, so I'm going to be using Google or some sort of simulated dice thrower to be doing this for me. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the possible activities that I've set up for myself. I've divided these into my 3 languages that I'm going to be studying this week, and I've further divided them for my own purposes into ones that I want to do every single day, which I've called mandatory, and then some other options for more optional things that I can do when I have extra time to do extra stuff during the day. But yeah, the first number generated challenge that I've set up for myself is a reading challenge. I'm hoping to read some Korean every single day, and so what I'm going to be doing is rolling a dice and then doing 10 pages times whatever that number is. So if I roll a 1, that's 10 pages. If I roll a 6, that'd be 60 pages, which is quite a lot of reading for me. I'm not the fastest reader in Korean. And again, you can alter this based on your own reading pace, your level, how much time you have that day. So you could do a chapter per roll if you have a ton of time, or the chapters are really short. For me, my chapters are super long, so I'm definitely not going to be doing that one this week. You could also multiply by 100 words. So from 100 words, if you roll a 1 to 600 words, if you roll a 6. For me, I wouldn't recommend doing number of words unless you're using some sort of software that counts words for you, because otherwise, who wants to be counting words? You could also do times 1 page, times 1 paragraph, times 10 minutes. You can do it in increments of time instead of pages. For me, I like doing by pages, so I'm going to be doing 10 pages per number. The next challenge I set for myself is doing some Korean writing. And again, similar to the reading one, I'm hoping to do this every single day, but this challenge is to roll the dice and then do whatever the number is times 4 lines of writing. Originally, I was going to do times a certain number of words, like 100 words, times the number, but then I realized I didn't want to be counting words again, so I changed it to 4 lines on a paper. That way I'd be writing anywhere from 4 lines at a minimum to 24 lines at a maximum. For me, I'm not a very fast or good writer in Korean, honestly, just because I almost never write in Korean. I'm trying to get better, which is why I'm going to do this every single day. But yeah, writing 24 lines, for example, it's like basically a full sheet of paper, I think. That would take me quite a while to do. So that is definitely a good upper echelon. And then 4 lines as the minimum, I think, is the bare minimum that I would want to do if I'm going to get out paper and work on writing in the first place. And again, you could also alter this to fit your needs and your skill level. You could do a paragraph, like times a paragraph per number, so 1 to 6 paragraphs. You could do a page if you're like extra go-getter and great at writing in your language. You could also do times 50 words, times 100 words, but like I said, I prefer something that's easier to visually count rather than words. If you're typing, it's fine to do, by counting words because your computer can do it for you, but if you're doing things handwritten, which I think I might be, then I would recommend doing like lines or paragraphs or pages because it's just a lot easier to visually count without having to go word by word and count each one of those. So the reading and writing I want to do every single day this week, but the next few challenges are optional Korean challenges. So when I have some extra time and want to throw some extra Korean in there, I can choose from this list of things. Starting with textbooks, I have a couple of textbooks back here on my counter that I almost never go through. And so I want to kind of go through some of that this week at some point. And so the way I've done it, because mine are broken up into like these short little sections, every single book I have back there is kind of divided into short sections. And so I'm going to be rolling a dice and doing however many sections of the book I roll. So if I roll a 3, that'd be 3 little sections of the book. If you want to do this activity and you don't have a textbook that has those nice short little sections, then what you could do instead is break it into pages. So times 1 page, times 2 pages, however much you want to do. Or you could do it in like little time intervals. So times 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes, however much time that you have for that day, you can kind of choose your increment of time that you'd want to multiply. The next little challenge I have for myself is the Korean news. If you guys watched my media challenge a month or 2 back, whatever that was, I did a ton of Korean news that week, and I basically ignored it ever since, unfortunately, and so I do want to kind of throw that back into my language studying from time to time, and so I figured this challenge is a good way to throw it in there at least once or twice during the week. What I'm going to be doing is rolling a 6-sided dice and then multiplying that by 1 short news segment per number. So if I roll a 1, that's easy, one little short news segment. If I roll a 6, that'd be 6 news segments. For me, typically they take around 20 minutes to go through. So if I roll a 6, that'd be like 2 hours of work. So that might be a bit much, but we'll see if that happens to me. Hopefully it won't, but yeah. Again, you could also break this into time. So like times 5 minutes, times 10 minutes. Or you could also kind of mix things up and let the roll of the dice choose your topic. So if you like said, okay, 1 will be politics, 2 will be entertainment, 3 would be, I don't know, finance, then you could roll and see what topic of news you have to find and study. Again, you can alter it as you please. For me, I think I'm gonna try and just do however many news segments that I roll, but we'll see how long that ends up taking and if I regret it. The next little optional activity that I have set up is a Korean song breakdown. The way I have it set up now, I might change it because it might be a little bit too much, but the way I have it set up initially is rolling a dice and doing however many songs I roll, which might take a little too long, we'll see, but again, you can mix it up and do time instead of number of songs as your number generated amount. You could also mix it up and like use the dice to determine which song or which group or which genre you are going to break down. So there's lots of different options that you could do. Another possible activity I have is speaking. I definitely need to do more Korean speaking even though I live in Korea. And so the way I have it set up is roll the dice and that's how many minutes you have to speak for. What I'm going to do is just talk into my phone and record it and then listen back and see how amazing or terrible I sound, what words I struggled to remember or could not think of or don't know. Again, depending on your abilities and level, you can mix it up and do your number times 15 seconds. You could do it times 2 or 3 or 5 minutes if you're just incredibly amazing at speaking and can talk for like 30 minutes on your own talking into your phone. Again, it's up to you. Another way that you could also incorporate random generators into this challenge is by going online and using like a random prompt generator. It's not exactly a random number generator, but it is still a random generator that could kind of, you know, throw some spice and randomness into your language learning for this activity. And the final little Korean optional activity that I set for myself is Webtoon reading. I used to read some Webtoons occasionally back in the past. I have not done it for years, but I don't mind it. And it's honestly a great way to kind of get context with your reading. So if your level of Korean is not very high and you want to get some Korean reading practice in, you might look into doing a Korean Webtoon. It still has relatively advanced vocabulary, but a lot of it is more colloquial, like conversation style, which is a lot easier than like literary style of books. And it also has lots of like onomatopoeia words and it has the context of the visual clues. So it's a great way to do some reading with extra kind of help given to you rather than just a huge chunk of text in a book. But anyway, what I'm gonna do for the challenge is I'm gonna roll a dice and read however many episodes that I roll. All right, so that was all for Korean. I have the most ideas for Korean stuff because again, my level is the highest there. I'm also going to mention what I have for my other 2 languages, but it is not nearly as much stuff. For Mandarin, I literally only have 1, and that is do Chinese. I'm gonna probably do 2 things every day in do Chinese, hopefully. One of them is rolling a dice and doing twice as many little chapters of a story that I've been reading for a while about 3 kingdoms. And then I also want to add to that rolling a dice and doing that many lessons of an upper intermediate reading activity. The first several installments of the 3 kingdoms story that I've been reading are all intermediate, and honestly I don't really pick up a lot of vocabulary anymore from them. I know like 99.9% of the words in them. I only occasionally have to look things up. So it's still really good for, you know, reviewing all of those words and getting that constant exposure to those words so I don't forget those characters, but I'm not really learning a lot either. And so the upper intermediate is that step up that I need to get a lot of other different vocabulary. Also, unlike the 3 Kingdoms story, which is a, you know, one continuous storyline, what I'm hoping to do with these upper intermediate lessons is to kind of bounce around topics and do kind of some of the one-off lessons that they have on Chinese, so I can kind of get vocabulary exposure in a lot of different topics that I'm not as familiar with. Moving on to my final language, which is Japanese, and my first kind of mandatory daily activity is Satori reader. And if you've watched my videos for a while, you will not be surprised because I do this basically every single day. I have kind of fallen off the amount of time that I spent on it per day. It's really gotten very small. And so I'm hoping to use this week to kind of get back in the habit of doing a little more Japanese every single day. I am going to be doing my vocab reviews on the app as well, but that's not really something that I can change based on number generation. I'm just going to do every single day the amount of reviews that I have for the day. But what I am going to do is I'm going to roll the dice and do that many grammar reviews. I've gone through all the grammar on there that's available so far. It kind of comes out every 2 weeks, I think. I want to go through and review some of the old lessons because I don't really do a lot of active grammar study these days. I'm just kind of reading and reviewing vocab. And then also I want to keep reading, and so I'm going to roll the dice and do twice as many episodes of whatever story I choose next. And then my other thing I want to do every single day for Japanese is watch some content through TV shows. And so I'm going to roll a dice and watch that many episodes of whatever TV show. The TV shows that I'm watching right now are relatively short episodes, like 15 minutes-ish. And so I can watch 6 episodes in theory in a day. If I were watching something longer, I might change it a little bit to like time, like 15 minutes or 30 minutes per the number that I roll. But for me, doing an episode per number works for me, so that's what I'm planning on doing. And then optionally, I'm also going to do some Comprehensible Japanese, which is a YouTube channel, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do for this. I might roll the dice and do that many videos from that person's channel. I might do twice that many videos on the channel, I'm not really sure, or I might set a time, like times 10 minutes, and then just watch for that many minutes on that YouTube channel. So I'll figure that out later. I don't really have a set in stone goal for that. But so yeah, that is all of the possible activities that I will be working on this week. Hopefully I'll get to all of them at least once. I have kind of laid out like a master list on my little Google Slides here. And then if I click on any of the individual activities, it'll take me to that page to remind myself of what exactly that challenge was. But yeah, that's kind of the setup that I have designed for myself for this week. I kind of like the idea of basing everything around a 6-sided dice because it keeps things nice and simple. And I can scale things as I want, depending on if I'm doing for pages or words or minutes or whatever. Obviously, there's a bajillion other ways you can do this. You don't have to use just from 1 to 6 as your random number generation. You could use literally anything. I'm curious if you guys are also participating in this challenge. Let me know what activities you're planning on doing or what kind of random number generation you're going to be using in your week. And yeah, I will check in at the end of the week and let you guys know how I did. And yeah, if you're wondering how I'll have the time to do this, is because this is my last fully free week of summer vacation. Next week is like the kind of build up, getting ready for school week. So I'll have to kind of get back in work mode then. But for now, I have the entire week to devote only to language learning. So I'm looking forward to getting as much done as possible. But yeah, like I said, leave me a comment letting me know what you're planning on doing for this challenge, or if you ever use number generation in your language learning on a daily basis, aside from this challenge. And yeah, I'm curious to see what you guys have to say, and that's all I had to say. And so I'll see you guys next time. And until then, annyeong.